How can you craft or hone the sound of your choir? How can you make your choir to be unique? How can you make them to sound different from every other choir that you know? How can you make your choir to sound very special and have what we call a unique selling point or a unique sound? You're welcome to class 8 of the Music Alto sessions. Yeah, my name is Tommy Tush. You know how we roll. It's going to be a great time learning. Now, let's get into it. Okay. I've been a music director for a while. Done that for donkey years. And a few things that I've learned in my journey in directing music teams that I want to share with you. Now, I remember in a few classes back, I spoke about how to craft, how to hone the sound, your sound as an artist. And somebody may be wondering, why are we crafting sound for a choir? Now, any choir that wants to stand out, any choir that wants to be excellent, any choir that wants to be unique, any choir that wants to be different, you must see that choir as an artist. The mistake that many music directors make, or even some churches and their leaders, is that they treat the choir like the choir is just meant to do whatever that person has been doing. They make their choir to just sing everybody's song. So they feel like the job of a choir is just to, get a song that has been released by other artists and then just come and regurgitate them. No. That's not what a choir is meant for. Now, I can't really go deep into some things, but I'm going to tell you something. If you want your choir to be really excellent, to have a voice of their own, then you must treat that choir like the choir is an artist. So one thing about artistry is that every artist has a sound. Every artist has a brand. Every artist is different from the other artists. Even if they are doing the same genre of music, there are some things that make them to differ. So for you wanting an excellent choir, you are definitely looking at how would you craft the sound. How would you make your choir to sound different, unique than another choir? So where does this start from? Now, it starts from the leadership of the church and the choir. Now, if you have a pastor who is passionate about music and knows music, yes, he can steer you in a direction and all that. But even if you have a pastor who probably is not so musically oriented, but gives you that free hand to make things to happen in your choir, then you can begin to look at, okay, how can we get this done? Now, in that kind of a church system where maybe the pastor is not a musical person, but it gives you, the MD, that freedom to work, then you are of all MDs the most blessed. Why? Because the job of crafting the sound for your choir is actually the job of the music director. So that is the reason why the best choice, the best decision you can make for a choir is to give them a great music director. I'm going to be talking about, being a great music director later on in this series. But I'm telling you that the job of crafting the sound for a choir is the job of the MD. In fact, that is the major job of a music director. It's not scoring songs, it's not assigning parts, it's not choosing who to lead. It's you being able to create the sound for that choir. So now, how do we create that sound? Now, if you want to know what a sound means, when we say that an artist has a sound, please go back to the class where I taught on how to define and hone the sound, your sound as an artist. Okay, I mentioned a couple of things that your sound has to do with your identity. Now, for an individual artist, we're looking at your voice, your message, and many things. Now, but if you want to do that for a choir, one of the things that you must do is you must start from the foundation, which is number one, have a vision. Every choir should have a vision. There must be something that stands your choir out. What differentiates your choir from the choir next door? Because your vision as a choir is what will determine the songs you will sing, how you will sing them, your dressing, your style. Many music teams don't have a vision, and that's very wrong. They don't have a vision written down. They don't have a mission. They don't have something they are aiming towards. They are just singing every week just to, have something to sing on Sunday, having rehearsals. There is nothing they are aiming towards. So if you're a music director listening to me, I want you to pray and then sit down and think and say, what is the vision of this choir? Where are we heading towards? Why are we doing the songs that we are doing? Because if you have a vision for your choir, you can't just copy anything online. And we live in days where, there are a lot of, videos and reels flying out online, and a choir will just see it and then just copy it. You just do a song that another choir is doing without understanding, your own difference. So you must have a vision for that choir. It's okay, we want our choir to be this, to be that. You have a time, a timeline for it as well. Now, that vision that you have for that choir is what you now begin to use to now, take the next level of steps. Now, we're talking about the music right now. So the vision that you have for that choir is what you will now use to say, okay, what is the music? What should the music sound like for us to achieve this vision? What should the music sound like for us to achieve this vision? And that now determines your song selection, the kinds of songs you sing. Maybe the kind of songs you sing would have to be maybe CCM, maybe your own is black gospel, maybe your own is traditional African music. Your vision would determine those things. Okay, so you need to look at that. Now, that when you have that vision and you share with the people, even the worship leaders, the ones who are going to be the ones leading worship, it will also inform their song choice. When you make an arrangement, when you make changes, they understand why you are making those changes, because there is a vision you are following. There's a vision you are aiming towards. So you now sit down with that vision, sit down with the songs, and then you begin to arrange the songs for that choir to begin to sound like what you want it to sound like. Now, let me say, for example, when I was going to start, my directing journey afresh, and I'm going to call it the second phase. Now, I directed music for a while, and then, I was new in directing. I didn't know anything. Nobody handed anything over to me. So I was learning many things by just trying things out. And then after maybe 3 years or thereabout of doing it, I discovered that, wow, I could have done better. And, I had a 4-year gap of learning things, being mentored and all that. And then I prayed to God to give me another opportunity. And then one thing that I, made up my mind on was that I was going to direct and build a standout choir. And then the Holy Spirit gave me this picture that, okay, if you want to build a standout choir, what exactly are you going to do? And then I saw the picture of a room where everybody is wearing white. It was like a picture the Holy Spirit flashed in my mind, like everybody in this place is wearing white. And then one person in that place is wearing red. And then he asked me, who would you notice? I said, the person wearing red. So he said, number one, when you want to build a standout choir, what you are saying in essence is that you want to be different. So that means that you want your music to be different. So you start from your worship. What is everybody singing? How would your own stand out? From your special song, what is everybody singing? How would your own stand out? Now, I'm very careful not to give ideas, because if I give examples, people can begin to, fault it or even want to copy it verbatim. People can be very funny. They say, no, that thing he said cannot work, So I'm going to allow the Holy Spirit to breathe on you and give you your own idea. Okay? In my own context, the idea that the Holy Spirit gave us way back, I'm talking about almost 20 years right now, was to be doing medleys in a very crazy way. Before medleys became what everybody is doing right now, we had started doing medleys to the point where people were calling me medley, tush medley, and all of those things. Now we started doing it. It became a uniqueness for the choir that I was directing at that time. It became our unique sound. It became something that everybody knew us for. And then the way we even arrange those medleys is not the usual way. Okay, at that time we're infusing Afro pop into our sound because we wanted to sound urban. At the time where Afro pop was not popular, at the time when it was a taboo to even sing Afro pop in church. Right now everybody is doing Afro pop. Everybody is inviting Afro gospel artists. At that time it was not. If you sing Afro pop, they will see you as a devil. Now, those were the ideas that I was creating by the help of the Holy Spirit to make my choir sound unique, and it worked. It worked. We created our own unique sound. We were different. When we went to places to minister, 1,000 music teams, I'm exaggerating, right, could minister before us, but when we got on stage, everybody knew that the anointed was on stage. Everybody knew that Harvest House, choir was on stage. Everybody knew that no, these guys are different. There's a way they sing, even the songs that everybody knows. There's a way we rearrange that song. There's a way we harmonize the song. And it wasn't that we had the best of people. Oh, I knew many music teams that had better singers and better musicians, but it's about creativity. So many times, MDs are listening to this and saying that, you know what, I need our church needs to change hands. Sometimes you don't need to change hands. You just need to have a creative mind as a music director, and then be able to work with the people that you have. At that time, I knew churches that were already using loops, using click tracks, using stems, all of those things, carry laptop, using in-ear monitors. At that time, I didn't use all of those things. But we're achieving better results. Why? Because sometimes it's not about the gadget. It's not about whether you're using a node stage or a motif or a montage. Sometimes it's about what your mind can create. I know that the gadgets are important, don't get me wrong. But I'm saying that an empty mind with the latest gadgets will still produce empty music. But you see, a creative mind with old school gadgets, you will be amazed at what they can create. So this is where creativity is actually how to craft your own sound. So look at your environment as well. Look at your environment, the audience that you are singing to, or the audience that you want to attract. What's the current audience in your choir? What is the demography or the quality of the audience that you want to attract, that you are reaching out to? All of that would help you to know, okay, how should we craft this sound? How should we create this music? What should we do? Because if you don't understand your audience, you will not be able to sing to them. And some people are singing the right song but to the wrong audience. So you want to figure all of that out. And then, of course, get feedback from your audience. Let's see, how the music is getting to them. Are you trying to build a worship culture? Then create the kind of music that will build the culture that you want. Okay, so number one, write a vision for that choir. Make it stand out, make it unique. Get a great music director, right? Understand your audience. Now, determine that your choir will stand out. Now, begin to look at the music from the worship to the special number. How are you going to make sure that it stands out to focus on the audience and to achieve the vision that you wanted to achieve? Now, that's a lot of creative work. What I just said to you is not easy. I give you my own example of how I started reharmonizing songs. I started putting medleys together to the point that, okay, maybe today I want to sing on Grace, and then I'm going to take the first verse and the chorus of song 1, join it with the chorus of song 2, join it with the vamp of song 3, and build something phenomenal. And we started doing that over time. It didn't happen in 1 or 2 or 3 years, but it happened over time, because it takes time to establish your brand and your identity. I hope that this has helped you. I can help you as a music director to be able to put this in your own context. Okay, I can look at your church, your choir, your demography, and then we can work on this together personally. So you can reach out to me and let us talk about how to craft and hone the sound for your choir. To the next class, I'm Tom Tush. They call me the tall MD with the word music. I see you. Bye for now.